My name's Elsa and I'm the Curator of Human History at Tullie House Museum. So we've had a really exciting year for prehistory at Tullie House. I've been doing a full collections project, which is looking at every single object in our collection and inventorying it and documenting them. And I'm going to be looking at digitising them to try and get them all online so we can get more researchers in so we can understand more about our collections. And that work has fed into our new gallery, which is called Origins, which opened in July 2019. And it's a refresh of our prehistory gallery. And it looks at key themes such as landscape and technology and cultures. And it's recently won the Society for Museums Archaeology Excellence Awards for Permanent Display 2019. So what we have here are two vessels from the Tullie House collection. We've got quite an extensive collection here at Tullie House of Bronze Age pottery, and these are some of the smaller examples. This is a burial urn, and this is an accessory vessel, also known as an incense cup. We were really lucky that with our collections project, in which we're trying to make our prehistory collections more accessible, we had a PhD student called Clara Freer from Exeter University, and she came up and she studied every single piece of Bronze Age pottery in our collection, and she's comparing them to better known sites in places like Wiltshire. So the Bronze Age comes after the Neolithic, and it marks the end of the Stone Age and the start of a new era, which we call the Bronze Age. A bit like the Stone Age, it's quite difficult to define. It wasn't a set moment in time. It was more a gradual transition where people began to use metals, so predominantly bronze. What's really interesting about the prehistoric pottery is that when they're often displayed and when we often think of these pots, we think of them in this upright position. But for the vast majority of the time, they're actually buried upside down or on their sides, and we've tried to replicate that in our gallery upstairs. Both of these vessels are very highly decorated. We think this is a trend in northern pottery. So in southern pottery, you often just see the top half, the top quarter of the vessel decorated and the bottom half plain, whereas these are decorated throughout the whole body. What we have here are what looks like triangles. So you have one row of triangles with these score marks and one inverted triangle which is plain, and it is decorated all the way through the body. And you'll also notice that some of the patches on the vessel are darker, and that's where it was burned in the kiln. This one has lots of different types of decoration, including a herringbone design. And these marks in the vessel were made by using a sharp tool into the wet clay before it was fired. The incense cup was an accessory to a burial, so a burial like this. They are smaller pots buried with the main cremation, and they might contain objects like beads or jewellery to go with the burial. We don't have that much evidence for Neolithic burial in Cumbria. There is in the wider UK, but not here locally. So the Bronze Age is really important because it tells us a lot about the death rites of the people who lived here during that period. So our collection here at Tullie House focuses mainly on the Carlisle district, but our prehistory collection looks across to the whole county of Cumbria. Most of our objects are from older excavations, so in the 20th century, that were carried out by antiquarians and then later by more professional archaeologists. Some of our collections are also from people like the Cherries, who were quite famous, father and son, who went field walking across Cumbria and kindly donated their very important collection to us in the 1980s.